The last time a rookie started on the mound in the All-Star game was in 1995. That was done by the 26-year-old Hideo Nomo. Nearly 30 years later, it has happened again, but this time with Paul Skenes, who's just 22 years old. 2 years ago, nobody really knew this guy's name, but now he is one of Major League Baseball's biggest superstars. Everyone knows that he's one of the hardest throwers in the league. As a starting pitcher, he has produced crazy stats just based on his velocity alone. But the velocity is not all that Paul Skenes brings to the table. He has some of the best secondary stuff in the game. Combine that with his great command and workhorse mentality, you have yourself one of the best starting pitchers in Major League Baseball. It's just 2 months into his Major League career, but there's already an argument that he's the best pitcher in the league. He is near the top of the leaderboard in nearly every single pitching metric. He's already putting up better numbers than guys that have been here for years, and his career is just getting started. That is a pretty good sign that Paul Skenes has broken baseball, and here's how he did it. By the way, 97% of you are not subscribed, so if you enjoy the videos, consider subscribing. It's completely free, and you can always unsubscribe at any time. It's safe to say that Paul Skenes has lived up to the hype so far. That's kind of a crazy thing to say already, since it felt like the hype surrounding him was almost infinite. After leading LSU to a College World Series victory and breaking the SEC's single-season strikeout record, Skenes was of course taken as the #1 overall pick in the 2023 MLB draft. He was said to be the best pitching prospect since Steven Strasburg, who of course was also a #1 overall pick back in the 2009 MLB draft. After being drafted, it took Skenes just 34 dominant innings in the minor leagues before making his highly anticipated Major League debut. On May 11th, 2024, Skenes would take a Major League mound for the first time. In front of a nearly sold-out crowd, he pitched 4 innings, striking out 7 hitters and allowing 3 runs to score. This outing obviously wasn't awful, but it wasn't quite as dominant as a lot of fans were expecting, given how much hype he had leading up to his debut. He would put any questions to bed just 5 days later, though. This time around, he tossed 6 no-hit innings, striking out 11 Cubs and walking just 1. This would be the start of one of the most dominant starts to a career from a pitcher that we've ever seen. Through his first 11 starts, Skenes has posted an ERA of just 1.90, which translates to an ERA plus of 216. This means that he has prevented runs at a rate 116% better than the league average pitcher after adjusting for ballpark factors. He has a strikeout rate of 34.9%, which ranks second in the league amongst pitchers with at least 60 innings pitched. Garrett Crochet is the only player above him with a rate of 35.2%. Skenes obviously has elite swing and miss stuff, but that's not what makes him an elite pitcher. He also has great command. After all, it doesn't matter how much stuff a pitcher has if he doesn't have great command over it, especially for a starting pitcher. As a reliever, you can get by with being a little wild, since pitch counts and going deep into games isn't a concern. But as a starter, you want to be as efficient as possible. When you look at strikeout rate minus walk rate, a stat that will show you the pitchers with the best combination of stuff and command, Skenes ranks first in all of Major League Baseball in 2024. He ranks 5th in the league in FIP amongst pitchers with at least 60 innings pitched. The only 4 pitchers above him are Chris Sale, Garrett Crochet, Christopher Sanchez, and Sonny Gray. FIP is a stat that only takes into account things that a pitcher can control: strikeouts, walks, and home runs. It eliminates all of the balls put in play that the defense deals with. A similar stat that's slightly different is xFIP, which does essentially the same thing, except it normalizes the home run per fly ball rate to 10.5%. The goal of this is to eliminate some quote-unquote luck when it comes to home runs allowed. Based on what ballpark the pitcher's playing in and where the ball is hit, some fly balls could be home runs in one scenario, but in another, it's just a routine out. Looking at the xFIP leaderboard, Paul Skenes is in first by a pretty wide margin, with Garrett Crochet being in second, 15 points behind him. He's ahead of guys like Tyler Glasnow, Chris Sale, Tarek Skubal, Ranger Suarez, and Tanner Houck. All of these pitchers are considered to be Cy Young candidates this year. This is a pretty good sign that Paul Skenes is in control of the game. He strikes out a lot of hitters, he doesn't walk many, and he has even been getting a little unlucky with fly balls going for home runs. And he's doing all of this in his first year in the league. Let's take a look at some other historic starts to a pitcher's career and compare them to Skenes. Taking a look at all the pitchers since integration, Skenes has the second highest strikeout rate in a pitcher's first 11 career starts, only behind Kerry Wood. He even beats out fellow phenom prospect Steven Strasburg, who is third on the list. In terms of ERA, he ranks 13th for a pitcher's first 11 career starts since integration. Out of the 12 guys ahead of him, the one with the most strikeouts is Shota Imanaga with 65. Skenes has recorded 89 so far. Nobody has prevented runs and has been dominating hitters the way that Skenes has to start his career. But how is he dominating the best hitters in the world so quickly? I mean, we've never really seen a guy this young and this dominant on the mound. That is because we've never really seen a pitcher with the tools that Paul Skenes has. The main tool that Skenes possesses, and the one that gets talked about the most, is the velocity. Out of all active starting pitchers in 2024, Skenes' four-seam fastball is the fastest. It averages out at 99.1 miles per hour. That's slightly above the second hardest thrower, Jose Soriano of the Los Angeles Angels, who sits at 98.9 miles per hour. He's well above other hard throwers like Hunter Green, his teammate Jared Jones, Garrett Crochet, and Dylan Cease, who all sit below 98 miles per hour. Here's a look at the hardest thrown pitches by starting pitchers in 2024. Skenes holds 7 of the top 10 and 12 of the top 20. Now, he's not the hardest thrower in the league, as guys like Mason Miller, Yohan Duran, and Justin Martinez all average over 100 miles per hour on their fastball. Of course, those guys are relievers who throw a fraction of the pitches that Skenes throws and only throw one inning at a time. The fastball doesn't just have a lot of velocity though. Thanks to his arm action and almost horizontal release, it has great horizontal movement on it as well. It has 5.5 inches of horizontal movement above average. This is one of the best marks in the league, and it ranks in the top 10. Combine this great movement with the high velocity and you get one of the best pitches in the league. It has an expected batting average against of 198 and an expected slugging percentage of 362. It has a whiff rate of 30.3%, which means that over 30% of the time, hitters will miss the fastball when they swing. His four-seam fastball is just straight up dominant, and I have pretty much told you everything I can to prove that to you. But this is the major leagues, of course, and if you want to make it as a great starter in the league, then you're going to have at least 1 or 2 more pitches that you can rely on, and Skenes has just that. Skenes' second most used pitch is his sinker or splitter or splinker. Whatever you want to call it, the grip is splitter-esque, but he throws it like a sinker. This gives it great downward action to it, while also maintaining a lot more velocity than your traditional splitter would have. This pitch sits at 94.1 miles per hour and has 7.6 inches of vertical movement above average, which is second in the league. This downward movement will lead to a lot of ground balls and a lot of weak contact, as well as a lot of swings and misses. It has an expected batting average against of 232 and an expected slugging percentage of just 326. It has a whiff rate also north of 30% at 30.2. Even when hitters do make contact, they aren't really doing much with it, as indicated by the minuscule 326 expected slugging. So now we've covered his top 2 pitches, but there's still a third one, and it might just be the best pitch he has. This pitch is his slider. Now, by itself, the slider is not as nasty as the sinker or four-seamer is, but alongside those 2 pitches, it's one of the best pitches in the league. It has an expected batting average of just 112 and an expected slugging percentage of 250. These numbers are crazy low. It has a whiff rate of 26.3% as well, so over a quarter of the time the hitters swing at the slider, they are missing it. Take a look at this graphic that shows the different movements of his pitches. You can see that the four-seamer and sinker go in one direction and the slider breaks in the opposite direction. This obviously makes it really tough on the batter since they don't know where the pitch is going to end up until it's too late. These pitches not only differ in movement though, they also differ in speed. The four-seamer is of course the fastest at 99 miles per hour, the sinker is 5 miles per hour slower than that at 94 miles per hour, and the slider is 9 miles per hour below that at 85 miles per hour. This means that not only hitters have to keep track of 3 different movements, but they also have to keep track of 3 different speeds, and one of them is an 100 mile per hour fastball, so there's not much time to react. As you can see in this graph, he also mixes in a curveball about 10% of the time, and that is even slower than the slider, sitting around 82 miles per hour, 17 ticks below his four-seamer. This arsenal that Skenes possesses not only has elite velocity and movement, but he also uses these pitches with great command. His walk rate is just 5.1%, which is in the 90th percentile. Usually someone with electric stuff like this is going to be a little wild, since it's hard to control the faster that you throw. For example, Hunter Green's walk rate is 9.9%, Mason Miller's is 9.3%, Jose Soriano's is 7.7%, and Dylan Cease's is also at 7.7%. This is what makes Skenes special. A lot of guys have great stuff in the league, but not many of them can control it like Skenes does. To further evaluate his command, we can look even deeper than just the walk numbers and look at the different areas where he's throwing his pitches. The ideal place most of the time to locate a pitch is on the edge of the strike zone. You don't want to be throwing too many pitches outside of the zone, of course, or you're going to walk a lot of hitters. You also don't want to throw too many pitches inside the zone or else hitters may start to do damage. The best place to locate pitches is on the edge of the zone. Those are the hardest pitches for hitters to do anything with. Skenes ranks 14th among starting pitchers when it comes to edge rate, and most of these guys on this list are soft tossers that focus on generating weak contact. Guys like Kyle Gibson, Tyler Anderson, and Miles Michaelis. But Skenes is quite the opposite. He has some of the best swing and miss stuff in the game. Once again, proving how unique and special he is. Okay, so that was a lot of analysis, so let's take a look at a different angle and start to look at the future ahead for Paul Skenes. He is the clear favorite to win NL Rookie of the Year, and as long as he doesn't get shut down towards the end of the season, I don't really think it will be much of a race. Now, because of the new CBA, if he does finish top 2, which in my eyes is almost a guarantee at this point, this season will count as a year of service time for him. This means that he's only under team control for another 5 years and will hit arbitration in 2027. This is good news for Skenes, but it's not good news for the Pirates front office. He is third in the NL Cy Young race, only behind Chris Sale and Zach Wheeler. This one is going to be a little tougher since he isn't going to have the innings that the other guys on this list are going to have. Chris Sale is also having a great season and he's pitched significantly more than Skenes. Although he's third in the race for the award, I don't think he has much of a chance there. As far as a future contract goes, it's tough to tell. He of course is on the Pirates, who aren't really known for dishing out cash too often. Most likely he will be a free agent in 2030, assuming that this year is counted as a service time year for the Rookie of the Year. We already saw something very similar happen just a handful of years ago with Garrett Cole, who was traded to the Astros as his team control was coming to an end. That's where I think this is also going to go, as the Pirates GM may have changed since the Garrett Cole trade, but they don't have a new owner. As long as Bob Nutting is at the helm, I don't see them dishing out a $300 million contract to buy out Skenes' free agency years. There is a small chance that they will give him something under $200 million to buy out his arbitration years and maybe a couple free agent years. We will just have to wait and see. If I'm Bob Nutting, I can't let this guy go. He's going to be the face of the league for the next decade, but I am not Bob Nutting. I am here making this video, so not much I can do. Paul Skenes' rapid ascension to a dominant force in Major League Baseball is nothing short of extraordinary. His combination of velocity, movement, and command makes him a unique and formidable presence on a Major League mound. As we watch his career unfold, it's clear that he has the potential to become one of the greats, not just of this era, but in the history of the sport. With his impressive start and the accolades that are sure to follow, the future looks incredibly bright for Skenes. Whether he stays with the Pirates or eventually moves to another team, his impact on the game will be felt for years to come. Baseball fans, buckle up, because we're witnessing the rise of one of the best pitchers of all time. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you enjoyed. I will see you next time. Goodbye.